Sound speed? Sound speed? Speeding?
Rolling.
Speeding, rolling.
Are we rolling?
Lights. Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of the Cinephile podcast.
Ooh-ah.
Hooah! We're halfway. Thank you so much for keeping up with us. Those of you who have been with us from episode 1 to episode 5, we appreciate all your support in any way, form, or fashion, sharing it or doing anything. I'm very excited. With episode 5. I don't know why. It feels like a milestone for us. Maybe I like odd numbers. I'm not sure.
Excited.
Do I look excited? I look pretty excited. I am. I'm honestly excited. It's been a while. We've been kind of hiatus for a while, and we apologize for that. But, like usual, you are joined by myself, Cooper Carr.
Neil Anderson.
And Kyle Montgomery.
And you know what, Cinephile Podcast, what we like to do most is talk about movies and why they're badass and why we should think a little bit more about them. So we're going to go around like we usually do, recommending our top movies that we love. Some of them are old, some of them are new. So the movie that I recommend is sci-fi, of course, because I'm more so the sci-fi-ish movie person. I guess Kyle is more too. Is Gattaca. If you haven't seen Gattaca, it's a movie from the early 2000s, if I remember correctly, that is about a guy who lives in the future where we are now genetically altered, where you get to be born and you know the time of your death because of the genetic knowledge that we have. It was actually in 1997 is when it was. And essentially you're dealing with an idea that's actually becoming more pervasive. Nowadays we question whether or not we have the ability to become God or not, and luckily they already took care of that for us and what the outcomes would be. We have people who are called invalids, who are a subculture class, people that can't afford or cannot be genetically perfect. Well, as everyone else wanting to get ahead of life like anyone does, it's the new private school. It's the new faster, better way to get smarter. And you deal with, what do we lose in that process? Are we still human, or are we just a science experiment? That's why I love the movie, because it addresses not only the human heart, but it addresses the human future and where we go as a society. And that's a big favorite of mine.
Do you think that's, let's say that, so now that we are starting to do genetically, modifying people or babies.
Right.
Do you think that is the direction it's going to go? That it's going to be a class issue? Is it going to be something that has to be regulated? Obviously, it'll be regulated.
It'll have to be regulated for sure.
In the sense of who can do it, like a class regulation.
I don't think it'll be regulated by the government as far as who can do it, but maybe the companies will use whatever regulation is put in place to raise the prices, perhaps. They're saying we have all this legislation or whatever, we have to have certain places. So there's going to be a price tag attached to it. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to say, no, the poor people can't have this. But there's going to be something only the rich can afford. And that might be, maybe we provide things like preventative diseases. Like maybe we make sure your baby doesn't have Down syndrome.
Sure.
Exactly.
There's luxury things.
Yeah, there's luxury things.
Yeah.
You can go make sure your baby has blue eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can make sure your baby...
Which they can actually already do.
Can they decide that gene?
They can just, when you're doing in vitro fertilization, you can pick not, hey, is this going to give you blue eyes, but which one is the most genetically predisposed to have that greatest option available to you. So as far as like Punnett squares, you can pick a good Punnett square for your genetics, but as far as like the ability to be like, okay, I want to run faster, that's still out of the option. But it is kind of curious where it's humans' whole point of evolution is to swap genetics with the best through make the most fit survive. And now
not the best.
Well, not the best, but the most fit.
Good enough.
The good enough. The people with good fast swimmers.
That's what's beautiful about the science fiction genre.
Yeah, because it can take something that is very simple and expand on it and address so many other societal issues. But I don't want to get hung up too much on this. I want to hear what everyone else has to say, because we only have 45 minutes. We've committed to a time now, and I don't want to spend it all the time talking about that, because there's so many other great movies that I'd like to hear from you guys. So, Neil, what was your recommendation?
So I was going to go a little bit outside the box this time.
Okay.
Instead of a feature, I'm going with a short film. It's called The Lunch Date. It was a 1990 short film, about 10 minutes long. The premise is essentially a kind of an older white woman misses her train, like in the subway. And so she goes into a diner to kill some time. She buys a salad. She goes up to get some silverware. When she comes back, there's a man sitting at her table eating her salad, and that's basically the setup for the short. It was one of the first movies I've actually seen that kind of made me think about something. It was a I don't want to really spoil it. I'd rather people watch it because that's kind of the whole draw of it, like what, the moments towards the end. But it's kind of like a movie that made me think that, oh wow, this is a craft, kind of the first time. Before movies to me were kind of just like.
So how old were you when you saw this?
I was probably honestly like a freshman or a sophomore in high school. So I was pretty old. I just wasn't into movies at the time. I didn't really get into making films or anything until, honestly, it's probably like my senior year in high school when I had to, in a way, kind of decide, hey, what do I want to do in college? And I thought film sounded badass. Like I think a lot of people think it sounds badass. And if it wasn't for, I think, this film, I probably would have never been doing what I'm doing. So.
And after y'all go watch that, you can go on Vimeo and watch Neil's one of his first short films.
Oh, yeah.
Inspired by The Lunch Date.
Yeah,
which
that's
I was
true.
happy enough to help on.
Yeah, it's pretty cringeworthy looking at it now, but
I still love it. I love it.
yeah.
So, if I may, the film
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
would like to recommend is called Elite Squad.
Yeah.
It's a really fantastic Brazilian film. Don't go watch the sequel on Netflix until you watch the first one. The first one is not on Netflix. The
That was my
sequel
mistake.
is, you can't start with the sequel. It's fantastic. The sequel is absolutely incredible as well in a different way. The first one tries to pass itself off as something of an action movie, but don't let that fool you because of the screenwriting and the way that they draw you into the plot is just brilliant. It's like, I don't want to just start combining a whole bunch of movies, but it's got that main character who's really morally kind of corrupt. You don't know whether to root for him or against him, narrating in a similar way to Goodfellas. And he guides you through this world of favelas and police corruption and extreme violence and trying to get things done. It's a tale about morals and what is too far. Who are you rooting for? How can the film kind of switch who you should be rooting for? I guess that's kind of the appeal of the anti-hero is like,
Right.
they're doing bad things, but they presented it in such a way that you're like,
It's
well, I
necessary.
understand. Go,
Yeah.
go do that. I know that you're a dirty cop, but it's like, come on.
It's a House of Cards or Breaking Bad. Like,
Yeah.
you root for the.
So I absolutely love it. I
Yes.
think it's brilliant.
Speaking of House of Cards, Neil and I finally wrapped up season 3 of House of Cards.
Oh yeah, we've been.
Woo, burning it.
Yeah.
Burn it through. Did you get all
I
House of
did.
Cards
I
knocked
watched
out?
it with my brother in a marathon the day it came out.
See, he has been making us do it like 1 to 2 episodes.
It's been 2 episodes a night.
Brutal.
This
It's
last
brutal.
few days.
Well, I understand y'all have 9 to 5s.
Yeah.
At the time, I was off.
I like
work,
pacing
and
it
so
out
I
too.
Yeah.
There's something about pacing it out. I think that you get to kind of digest it a little bit more.
Yeah, you do get to digest it a little bit more, and I don't remember it all that well now. Probably as a result, I remember being thoroughly entertained.
I think it's gotten a bad rap. The 3rd season, from everyone I've talked to,
I liked it more than the second
even
one.
myself.
I started out. I actually like it better. I almost like it better than the first two.
On the second viewing of this on the 3rd season, 'cause like I said to you, I said, it's not really that great, and then blah blah blah, blah. And then I watched it again. I was like, why did I ever think the 3rd season was
I
going to
don't
be
know.
bad?
It's really good.
The Russian villain
Yeah.
is so good.
I think it's more.
It's
the
more
thing is,
realistic.
it's still drama, but it's less dramatic the
Right,
first two.
right.
The first 2 seasons were like we were talking about this. It was like, who do we need to murder next? And this one is like, politics fucking suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Russia. We got big business. We got.
And I don't want
campaigning.
to. Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, especially with the second season. But I know the
Spoilers.
overt drama of the second season was almost too implausible. People's they weren't able to buy it.
It was a bit over top, but just holding it for a second. Fun thing about Netflix. Have you guys heard the new news with what Netflix is doing with Better Call Saul?
They're releasing it episode by episode, aren't they?
So yeah, exactly. So as Better Call Saul is going to be actually doing a new season on your traditional cable providers, they're going to be doing the next day. You're going to be able to get it on Netflix.
That's amazing.
Nothing premium.
So like Hulu.
Yeah, very very similar to Hulu, but on Netflix. So
Cool.
nothing too special, but with premium content or something like that. So it's kind of one of those kind of spilling the ends for cable subscription services.
Yeah, well, it's kind of special for me because I buy into Netflix. I've never had a Hulu account. I've gone and watched a few shows on there with commercials. You know, I've
I don't
never
like
had
network television that much.
Yeah, I don't like network television that much either. But there's shows like
Hulu's-
Better Call Saul, and I still haven't watched Fargo because it's not on Netflix.
Neither have I. I pirated the whole season.
Yeah,
I mean,
haven't
I
seen
didn't
Fargo
pirate
either,
the whole
but
series.
You know,
Fargo's
everyone's
cool.
raving about it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be incredible. I haven't watched it. There's 2 seasons out.
You should come over this weekend. We can watch the entire season. It'll be fantastic. I have it all.
Am I invited?
You know,
Do I need to leave?
I might put on some candles for Kyle, but not for you. Sorry.
You're invited, Neil.
You're
Don't
invited.
you let him.
Thank you,
Always.
Kyle.
So, getting that out of the way, we've seen new movies. What
We've
new
seen
movies?
lots of new
yeah,
movies.
lots. Oh, I
I
mean,
barely even
we
know what to talk
have
about.
we haven't had a podcast since December, like a new one. Even though I just released one between Kyle and I, but that one was pretty old as well. But not the three of us. So Star Wars has come out. The Revenant has come out. We're gonna have to
The Big Short.
let The Big Short. So let's do this.
Could this be like speed dating?
Yeah, this is gonna be like speed dating of movie impressions. So I've got the timer going.
Impressions?
Impressions.
Oh, shit.
Impressions
This
of the
is your
movie,
game, man. This is your
as
game.
well as what we've thought of just overall. So Star Wars, we're gonna end with me last because I got some opinions of Star Wars. Neil, let's have you go first with Star Wars.
Okay, so I think everyone can agree that
You get 1 minute, by the way.
okay that there was nothing really uniquely like original about this new Star Wars, but I think they towed the line they had to toe. They had like they didn't do anything original, and if they did something super original, like if it was like The Dark Knight or like the
Right.
something like more gritty and kind of like character driven, I think a lot of people would be like, this isn't Star Wars. This isn't what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Star Wars again. But they also want to try to do something new, and I think they kind of towed that line a little bit. Clearly, this was New Hope 2.0. This was just that story rehashed again.
Right.
But I think they're setting it up for the next one.
Pause for just a second. I think your microphone's backwards. Make it where the brand faces towards you. So twist it. Now talk into it.
It's gonna be super loud.
Oh my gosh, that's so much better. Whoopsie doodle. Sorry about that, man. I set up your mic wrong. But yeah, that's about a minute for you, Kyle. Your impressions of Star Wars. You have 1 minute. Go.
The first time I saw it, I was enthralled. I loved it. I was there every step of the way. The second time I saw it, I noticed how copied it was. I really started to notice how, to me, some of the joke deliveries kind of fell flat. Things just, and that goes for a lot of movies, but it just wasn't as funny. It wasn't as good the second time around. It didn't hold up. There's one moment that I love. It's at the very end of the film. Can we do spoilers? Is that okay? People should have seen Star Wars.
Yeah,
by now.
yeah.
It made $1.5 billion. You
I
should have
thought
seen it
the
by
film
now.
was severely lacking anything really archetypal.
20 seconds.
You had a couple good father-son moments with Han and Kylo, but when she climbed those stairs to go meet her new master, I was like, this is the myth. This is the mythical stuff that Star Wars brought to the table. This is the mythical moment about teachers and students and finding your destiny, and I loved it. That moment specifically.
So you're gonna like the next movie then?
I think I'm gonna like it more. I think I'm gonna like it more than this one.
Yeah, This was a nostalgia fest.
Yeah,
This is one big nostalgia fest.
to a fault.
So,
Yeah.
me and J.J. Abrams do not like each other. I dislike J.J. Abrams, everything he's made since Super 8. I thought Super 8 was another copycat of E.T., Star Trek. I think he completely just shat on all of Star Trek. And he did the same thing with Star Wars as well. Because, like you said, Kyle, the fact that there was really no creativity, there was just boring characters. I didn't find it to be too interesting. I felt like they were more excited about playing race cards and gender cards to get people to the audiences. It would put audiences into the seats rather than actually bringing them in for story. I know that's kind of whatever, maybe racy to say or not, but it seemed like it was depending on marketing and leaning back on the brand to bring in the seats and audience people to come in, and not leaning on creativity. And it just sucked. It like, don't get me wrong, during Star Wars bits and whatnot. I walking out of the movie, I wanted to get in a lightsaber fight. It still enlightened the kid inside of me, and that's what it's meant for. It's meant for kids. But at the same time, when they're sitting there just going like, "Oh, what do we make? A Death Star? A double Death Star? Oh no!
Let's call it a Star Killer.
Let's call it a Star Killer." And then literally it panned over to the other guy and he goes, "Well, certainly it must have an exhaust port." And I was like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
Yeah, no,
Jesus.
for sure.
And it was just like, getting like, oh, hey, Oscar Isaac, this great like gravitas of an actor, the one really good actor like next to Harrison Ford. Oh, you're going to take a backseat the entire time. Awesome. Granted, it's because he was taking it as the new pilot position for Harrison Ford as he was being murdered. Spoilers. And it just lacked ingenuity. It lacked so much creativity. There wasn't really anything fun or dynamic about it. And I don't like the villain. I didn't really like the heroes. I thought that the motivations for the heroes didn't make any sense whatsoever. The stormtrooper guy made no sense to me whatsoever, and what his motivations were, or why he did what he did. But we're done with Star Wars. It's time to go to the Revenant. Neil, you've got 1 minute. Go. Revenant, Leonardo DiCaprio. What'd you take from it?
Well, for as few lines as Leo had in that film, I almost feel it's a shoo-in that he's going to win.
For sure.
For actor. I mean, even just looking at his competition this year, they're not going to give it to Eddie Redmayne 2 years in a row.
For what we've heard is a lackluster movie.
Yeah, even then. I don't think they're going to give it Bryan Cranston in Trumbo. I haven't seen that though, so I can't say.
No.
But I think politically, this is his year.
Mm-hmm.
He
got the SAG award.
Yeah, not only did he have a great performance, like a really great performance, it's politically his year to win it. So I'll give the Leo comment on that one.
What was your favorite part about The Revenant?
I'm not sure. Probably just the scenery, to be honest. The fact that they had to like trudge through the wilderness and just lug all the gear, because they had some pretty elaborate camera setups and camera moves that it seems like it was a nightmare probably to set up most of those, but those are the real things I noticed, I suppose. So
all right, Kyle, I'm sure you'll have opinions.
Yeah, in response to the camera movements, yes, absolutely gorgeous, all of that. My buddy, this is a case of I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. He was the assistant colorist
What?
at
Oh,
Technicolor
nice.
on The Revenant. And he was like, if you are amazed, like, how the hell did they get that camera shot? What did they do? It's because they didn't. They are masters at digitally stitching now.
oh wow.
Yeah, so a lot of that did not happen. I mean, it still happens in camera, but it's 2 shots that they combined.
Yeah.
When the camera flies up and all of a sudden you're on the horse with that guy, that didn't really happen.
Well, I guess I'm
It's
not
a
even talking
stitching.
about like those kind of. I mean, there's obviously like Birdman moments of stitching. I guess there were significant camera moves that were clearly just one take.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that were
when-
gorgeous.
Not
and
necessarily
well-choreographed.
long take
Right.
stitchings, but just
When
good.
when they followed Leo into the river, when he was backing into the river.
Yeah, that's a good one.
When the
Yes.
Cree?
Absolutely.
Or him
No, not the Cree.
climbing up
Key?
the hill to the buffalo and stuff.
Yeah, that was really great.
Yeah, stuff like that.
But so,
Closing comments.
my takeaway was Tom Hardy. I thought
Yeah.
Tom Hardy
Yeah, he
was
was great.
brilliant. I loved his performance as much, if not more, than Leo's. I felt like he had more to work with, to be really honest, morally. And yeah, I was talking with someone the other day, and it's a beautiful movie. It's wonderful. The one kind of like failing, it doesn't fail, but I think it kind of falls short spiritually. And we were talking, this friend of mine and I, about how we kind of wished it had had more heft in the realms of, I don't know if I want to say morality or what it is, but like when
Yeah.
they draw the golden ratio on
Yeah,
the
the
flask,
spiral.
it seemed a little heavy-handed.
But then again, like I remember you were talking to me about this before, how they actually used it
You're
in
both
the
over
story.
your time.
Yeah,
For the 1
that was
minute.
brilliant. How they bring that flask back into the story, and I
right.
felt like that redeemed
Yeah.
it a little bit. But I think most of us would agree that like the weaker parts of the films are the kind of mystical, like his wife
Ethereal,
moments.
yeah, kind of.
Those are almost forgettable in light of the really brutal, in the moment survival tale.
Yeah.
You know, that we could have almost done without them. They're fairly.
They're almost borderline like Terrence Malick,
Yeah,
like little vignettes.
Yeah,
like,
it felt like moments of vignettes when they were just sneaking back into moments of the Native Americans just being killed, and to where that it seemed like a huge pastiche of what the history was of the plains. Because, for instance, the buffalo skull statue that happened, that happened in like 1810 or so. It was 1810 to 1814 where that famous photograph was taken. And Hugh Glass was 1822. So there was no way that Hugh Glass would have seen that whatsoever. Same thing as they had the comet that came streaking overhead, which I am 100% sure now that was a head nod to Red Cloud, the general of the Sioux people, who was named after a meteor streaking through the sky, hence his name, Red Cloud.
Also, a
I don't know
visual from
what
Birdman.
else. I don't know what else
Yeah.
would happen. Maybe it almost felt like similar to Forrest Gump, to where like it felt like Forrest Gump, but back in the day, to where he was witnessing all of these moments, and it was like, why do you get to witness all these moments? And it wasn't because of that; it was the fact that it was just tying in a whole time together through our main story arc and educating the watcher, viewer, I guess, not the watcher.
Watchmen.
Yeah, who watches the watchers. But yeah, just educating everyone on like the whole thing towards like how poorly the Native Americans were treated, how much just like all these pivotal moments that were happening, like the big buffalo herds and all that. It just seemed like it was just trying to cram a lot in a good way. I love that they did it.
They did it pretty well, because if you weren't as informed of the history as you are,
Yeah.
there's no reason for me to think that he couldn't have witnessed that.
I tweeted the director, but he didn't tweet me.
Aw.
Well, actually, you can actually DM him. You can DM what was his name? Like
Alejandro
boom.
Inarritu?
Yeah. So
come on, bro.
I know. I can't remember it. I can barely remember my own name. But yeah, I did a direct message to Alejandro. I was like, hey, is this? Because I want to know if it really was an homage to Red Cloud or not. Because the movie was so concerned about Native Americans. Leo's been talking about Native Americans and everything else like that. But I think they're trying to trump it up to become something else that it's not. Neil and I kind of discussed that a bit. But I was just very curious, and he never tweeted me back.
It very well could be.
Have y'all seen Amores Perros?
No. I haven't seen that of his.
Gosh.
Oh, that's the love
That's
of dogs.
Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu's first film. And it's like Traffic, but entirely in Mexico City. And we should watch that sometime soon. It's
What is it
really
about?
startling to see the change in style coming from that all the way to something like The Revenant. It's 3 to 4 interlocking stories of
That seems to be his.
humans.
That was his MO.
That was, and it started with that.
Yeah.
And it was the work he did with that one writer who apparently they had a falling out after Babel. But it's these 4 stories of people and their dogs and the way their lives are affected. The people with one another, the connections with their dog, how it brings them through tragedy and love and ups and downs. And it's really, I don't mean to make it sound like a Hallmark movie. It's really gritty. I would definitely compare it to Traffic in that kind of tone and interlocking stories.
Yeah. I'll have to check it out.
That sounds really
I've been meaning to watch
Really
it.
cool. It's still, regardless of Birdman and Revenant, my favorite of his.
All right. Well, as far as any other movies that we've seen, I know you haven't seen it, Kyle, but Neil and I did go see Anomalisa.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, you said
I
it
said
right.
it right.
Anomalisa. What are you
Yeah.
talking
Oh,
about?
I remember.
Well, there was we looked up on IMDb the other day, and there was I don't know if it was a mistype or misclick or something, but it was like Anomalia.
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. I remember. Because remember the
Yeah,
first,
look up Anomalia real quick.
I remember
though.
the first time I was talking about it with you. I didn't know what I was like. I just didn't know what it was called.
Yeah,
But-
Anomalisa.
So-
Like anomaly.
Yeah. Introduce
Lisa.
that in case anyone else hasn't heard about it.
So yeah, Anomalisa is Charlie Kaufman's kind of coming out of the shadows movie, where the last thing he's done was the Synecdoche, New York. That was his directorial debut, which was pretty much not panned, but it kind of failed in the box office at least.
Yeah. I mean, it was too heady.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I love
didn't like it.
Synecdoche, New York.
But I need to see it again.
No, I love it. It's I always describe it this way, but I think I'll describe it again.
Describe it. I'd like to
It
hear your
is
opinion.
the closest thing a movie has come to being an accurate depiction of a dream. that it is like exactly that. It's almost unbelievable, but you go with it while it's happening. You know, like clearly when you wake up, you're like, well, why did I think this was real or whatever? But when it's happening, it's like a for sure thing or something. I don't know. That's just how I felt about it. I really liked it.
Okay.
But Anomalisa,
because he's always had that theme Charlie Kaufman's had of like, because you said that he was the human director.
He's like the existential director.
Existential, yeah.
Yeah,
director.
I feel like he's the existential director.
So what happens when
Anomalisa?
Anomalisa. God, I don't know why. It's like a weird like tongue twister for me.
So yeah, Anomalisa is basically just it follows a man who is going to give a talk to basically customer service receptionist or something. Yeah. Like it's this very bland, vanilla, mundane kind of
classic
work. Yeah, exactly existential kind of thing. And every single I almost don't want to. I know Kyle hasn't seen it, so I don't really want to like say too much about it though. But
I think you can talk about the movie without having a spoiler for Kyle. I mean, just don't get too. I mean, just talk about the concepts of it.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, certainly the concepts alone is what really carries it. I mean, don't give away huge, big scenes. Like, I just gestured to Neil something to give away a scene that Kyle wasn't looking at me for people who can't see my viewers. Jesus, I almost said my viewers.
Well, basically, just like summed up short, I guess that.
Get you a beer, by the way.
No, I still got mine. You should get yourself one.
Oh, for sure.
It's basically a lost individual. This man is a lost person who is clearly just going through an existential crisis where he's not happy with his life and everything is fake. Everyone, like all the conversations in it with like ordinary people, like the taxi driver at the beginning, are like these clear, like fake conversations that we all have every day with strangers or just with even people we know. We have these fake conversations where we're not being truthful. Not that we're lying, but we're not opening up. No one's opening up to anybody.
Right. Just like everyone's kind of like a shadow.
Everyone's a shadow. That's really what the movie's about. It's this guy that is kind of aware of all this happening, and he finds someone else, another stranger who, into him, he's able to open up to, and they're able to open up to him. And that's basically, I think, the premise of the film.
I'm excited to see it. I just haven't had.
If anyone,
and it's all puppets. By the way.
It's all puppets and claymation. Oh, should we talk about that? Kyle, close your eyes. That scene.
I think Kyle understood what that meant.
I've heard about this. I've heard about the puppet sex.
The puppet sex. In case
I loved it.
If anyone
I
doesn't
loved
know,
it.
I hope it's just
puppet
as
sex.
good as Team America's.
That's
It's
puppet sex scene.
by far better, and the reason I'm going to say that is not because it's not funny, even though it's like you'll giggle at it and kind of like laugh,
yeah.
But you're laughing because of the moment and not because it's puppets having sex, and that is what's brilliant about it. That it's like it has such a like, and that's what this whole movie is. It's a very real film. It's a like real experience that we don't talk about a lot of time. Like just people in general, we don't talk about these experiences. And I feel like this film does a really good job of showing that we don't talk about them and actually kind of showcasing it. But it's a really like awkward and cute kind of sex scene, but with puppets. And it's
there's like an underlying like sweetness to it.
Yes.
But like you said, it's never have I seen such a real movie displayed with puppets. And I remember it, and it's just so amazing like how they went through it, because it's not your typical style of animation, so that was very refreshing. You know, it's not perfectly smooth, and you're pretty much always aware that they are models. But nonetheless, like, still the cinematography in it is absolutely brilliant.
It actually is very, very good.
Yeah, and it was a fun fact, if anyone cares to know, that they shot for trying to get 2 seconds a day. That was their goal, shooting about anywhere from 12 to 15 hours a day, and only getting 2 seconds from that. So the level of commitment that they have certainly shows, and that's also why the runtime is pretty short at about 90 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I was actually surprised when it ended.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just like it's that funny thing while with like the existential issues, to where it addresses the issues that everybody has, and it's so odd how it can be so beautifully expressed through a puppet or through a claymation model. I guess that's what you would call it. And there's so many moments that are so intrinsically human and are so gently human that you couldn't imagine it any other way. It would be beguiled by people, because you would have the opinion of people. You would have the opinion of how someone looked. But the fact that they're just objects makes them more honest in a weird kind of way. And I think that's what's so refreshing, because at first you don't know what to think. And the world that he lives in, you realize that it's so crazy and monotone in its own respects. And the same kind of way that we live in our own lives. And it makes you examine your own life, and the fact that we are all talking to shadows of each other many times, and that we aren't trying to listen to amazing podcasts that talk about films in an in-depth way. and it's kind of a sad thing, but it does kind of wake up your little human soul a little bit, and allows you to become a teenager that asks you the question, what is my purpose? Why are we doing these things? What is my motivation to keep going? Am I just a consumer still? Has my soul been taken out of me by government, by politics, by just not caring? Is my apathy justified?
Are you comfortably numb?
Yeah. Are you comfortably numb?
I actually played that song when we got into the
played
movie.
Yeah, played
I was like,
comfortably numb.
I gotta play this.
It was a
It's
great,
so
great way
fitting.
to go out. But yeah, I remember at first look, I didn't think it was going to be that great. I thought it was going to be a lot sillier than it was, but it was a whole nother different serious context, and I loved it for it. And it's easily, I'd say, in one of the top must-sees. And I know that's weird to say for something that's claymation, but it's surprising yet daring and sweet and humbling of yourself.
I love Charlie Kaufman.
And Charlie Kaufman's always a good bet.
I'll throw my hat on this one for sure. Another thing, just to point out, I'm not gonna say why, but the reason they use claymation, there is a reason.
Why is that?
Well, I don't want to say too much about it, but it does give you, does give kind of an insight to our character's world that we otherwise couldn't get in a live action film, I believe. So
That's true.
there is a purpose for it, and it's a good purpose. Mm-hmm. So
I would say, keeping with kind of the same thing of viewed realities in a different way, with Ryan Reynolds as a serial killer who can hear his dogs
my gosh, wait,
talk to
what
him.
was that? That was Voices.
Yeah, I think it was just called
Voices.
Where Ryan Reynolds lives in a world of his own that he does to protect himself and to withdraw himself into this little bubble in a way, because he's crazy. Otherwise, that the actual reality is actually more harsh. And a part of that means that he has to draw people in and sometimes kill them. And the characters that are done are all voiced by Ryan Reynolds. And I don't know, it was a really great movie, super indie. It was called Voices. And then as far as with Ryan Reynolds, what do you guys think about him coming out in Deadpool? Are you guys excited for Deadpool at all?
I'm not excited at all.
Getting mainstream.
I might see it, but I'm not
I
excited
won't
for it.
pay full price. I've tried to avoid superhero movies as of late.
Yeah, so
and
have
to
I.
me, the trailer for Deadpool,
You think it's
especially
because we've
the
grown
art,
up a little bit?
I think it's just oversaturated. And I think that's what's going to happen with Star Wars too. They've got like 15 Star Wars movies planned, and we're just going to get burnt out.
Well, it's like the backstory of Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
Well, a Han
some
Solo,
of this
sorry.
is so much better left unsaid.
Yeah, I'm just like, take the dick out of our ass as far as just trying to take money out of our own fucking pockets and actually start making movies that are good again. Like,
They're just gaping us.
gaping.
Go ahead and Google that if you don't.
Don't Google it. Do not Google it unless that's what you're.
Red
But
tube
yeah,
it.
For me, the Deadpool trailer tries so hard. It's
Very
like,
hard.
won't you like me? Please like me. Laugh.
Yeah.
How fast can Ryan Reynolds talk and quip? And
Yeah.
it's just maybe
It's
13-year-old me would have been excited.
Yeah, it seems like I describe it almost as like borderline masturbatorial. As far
Even
as
the end of the
film.
trailer, he talks about masturbating.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's remember who this is geared for.
But it's
Yeah.
rated R.
do you think kids don't see rated R movies now? Like, rated R is totally okay now.
I don't know.
Like, parents are okay with rated R now.
Remember
You know
how
what
like,
I mean? Like,
the last
I see that. I feel like it. I don't
rated
know.
R is the new PG-13 as far as like
Mm-hmm.
like parents allowing you to see things. I feel like.
kids
Maybe
these
I don't
days-
know enough
kids
kids these days, or parents for that matter, to really say.
God, we
but they
we
still
are,
can't.
we are
the
like
kids,
old people.
The kids can't
Did
buy
you hear
the
about
tickets.
this Oculus 3D they got now?
These kids can't go to the mall and buy the tickets.
They're taking pictures of the penis and they're putting it on the phone. I don't get it.
In 3D.
In 3D they do it. Why? Why? Just
You could just look and touch it right
yeah,
there.
your schwanz is right connected to you. Who needs it? But I think at the same time, we're seeing a pretty consistent degradation of film. I think that that's a very common thing. And that was one of my big motivations in just wanting to talk about it, because I hear so many people gabbing about essentially the pop music of movies, the Marvel comic book movies, these big braggadocious loud movies, and
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars, just these loud movies that go appreciated not because they're good, but because no one knows any better. And I don't know when people are going to wake up and realize that it's not pretentious. It's like how you can't use vocabulary anymore. People don't really read books as much. I think there's like an actual significance of dumbing down as far as entertainment has happened because of the reality TV generation and the reality TV era, and the fact that the industry has gotten so long and it's in its mature stage of film, it now knows how to maximize the dollar rather than maximize the experience. And I think that's a huge mistake that we've seen happen in TV. We're now looking at
TV's
Mike.
reversed now.
Right. No, well, TV is reversed, but after following a very similar trend. TV followed it first, like to where you're having Mike and Molly's and these stupid laugh tracks and all this other stuff. TV realized its sins, and now it's the new source.
I don't think so.
It still does
serious.
both. It does.
It does both, but at least they know what the consumer is, to where they will take risks now more than film will, because they can actually invest in it and they have a longer time to gross.
We'll
back
say more
their
than
money.
Hollywood.
There's
not more than
distribution.
film.
There's distribution
Yeah.
models now that allow for that kind of risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Netflix can exist, and it has the internet to stream it to you. It doesn't need to utilize those cable pipelines. So, yeah, I think that, I don't know. I don't know if it's just we pay too much attention to the big, stupid movies when there's just more than ever so many movies of quality for you to go out there and watch.
I think that's probably always been the case.
Yeah.
You know?
There's always been those trashy, like think about the studio system and the few movies that were actually creatively worthwhile, intellectually worthwhile, you know?
Speaking of being intellectually worthwhile and also talking about the studio system, the Coen brothers, Hail Caesar.
Yeah.
How excited are you guys to see that? A
think
quality
that's-
film that is actually probably going to do really well in the box office, because the Coen brothers have somehow made serious films that can also get buku bucks from the box office
Yeah.
at the same time. I think they're a great example of making a great amount of money and great films and great experiences at the same time. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That movie made bank.
Yeah.
And it's still to this day, it's also an allegory to Odysseus. You don't really have that kind of power behind that. And the Coen brothers have done it consistently every single time. Neil, if you would want to, because you're good at summarizing, Hail Caesar, give me a quick synopsis in case no one knows about it.
seen
I mean,
I said synopsis. You've seen a trailer, right?
I guess from what I remember of the trailer, basically a very famous, it seems like supposedly the most famous at the
Yeah.
time movie star gets kidnapped by some group that almost is portrayed like as like an Illuminati kind of group or something.
Yeah. What do they call them? Oh,
The
the
future.
future.
They're called the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which creates opportunities for some great jokes.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And he gets kidnapped and they want ransom. And so now it's like these other movie stars and the studio heads are basically trying to get him back. That seems like kind of the plot of the film.
Well, and now that we have about Penny, stop. Now that we have about 5 minutes left of our awesome podcast. So Coen Brothers, I say we stay on topic of Coen Brothers a little bit. Just talk about how awesome they are. I mean, every single beat that they've hit, I think they've had like one or two stinkers, but True Grit, Lady Killers I actually like. A lot of people don't like Lady Killers, but what is it? Big Lebowski, Inside Llewyn Davis. I'm a huge fan. Also, again, Oscar Isaac.
I actually never saw that.
It's an awesome movie.
Yeah, I've never
You would
saw
enjoy it a lot. Talk about existentialism and also just like an artist trying to get by. I think it deals both of those concepts very well, and it's a good movie.
You're almost not meant to like Llewyn.
No.
Which is a really unique choice. I think a lot of people didn't like it because of that. It's not a hero's journey.
No, it's a... I remember I highly identified with him for a little bit because back when we were in college and you're just working and then you're rushing to go do that and then your own personal pursuits and you're constantly late for something and you're constantly letting people down, more so with me because I double book terribly. I'm a horrible double booker, and I would always just be rushing to something or have some kind of excuse, and that's his character to the absolute T. And at the same time, you admire him just to kind of have that hustle, but it's not about his hustle, it's about his life, which has so many other like fractal myriad pieces to it that you see him come crashing together and coming apart and creating more mystery, but all delivered really well and solemnly through Oscar Isaac's performance that I thought was just...
He's a beast.
He's a beast. I think he's going to be...
Ex Machina,
not next
he was a beast
Leonardo
in Ex
DiCaprio.
Machina.
Ex Machina got snubbed.
It did.
Yeah.
It deserved that spot. I don't think all three of us put too much stake in the Oscars, but I think we can all agree that Ex Machina deserved the Martian's spot.
Either that or Bridge of Spies.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah, Bridge of Spies is garbage.
It's not garbage.
It's garbage.
It is the prototypical Hollywood
Put
film.
it out by the curb on Monday because it's garbage.
Which, speaking of the Coen brothers,
Speaking of the Coen brothers, they
were
were
writers.
That screenplay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed it though. There's only a few scenes in it that were like, okay, this seems like Coen brothers
Coen-esque,
dialogue.
Yeah.
Just some people talking, and those were probably the best scenes. Maybe that's why credit to the Coen brothers. But
Yeah.
no, it's not a bad movie, but it's not.
It went too
I didn't
soft.
feel anything.
Yeah,
from the movie.
it was soft, and it tried to ride this like patriotic kind of bandwagoning toward the end.
I mean, it was Spielberg.
Yeah,
so
and it was Spielberg.
Spielberg
What happened
shone
to
through.
Spielberg?
What do you mean? He's always been super patriotic.
I know. It's just I remember when I used to like all of his movies, and now it's just like stinker after stinker, and I just don't get it. Same thing with George Lucas, but George Lucas really only made one good series, and that's even going down.
only done a couple
That's even going down the toilet, in my opinion. But I mean, as far as any other movies that are coming up, you guys looking forward to anything? I mean, we've talked about Hail Caesar,
The
Witch.
The Witch. Oh yeah, that looks so good. If anyone doesn't know, The Witch is taking place in the American colony, like original colonization times, like Roanoke and Jamestown kind of era.
1630s New England.
1630s New England, I'm recently informed, and it's about this creepy witch, mysterious character that's in the forest. I don't know. It doesn't give me.
job.
It's about this creepy, mysterious witch, using the name of the film as the description.
It's about a witch, and she's not a nice gal. Yeah. Do you see now why I go to you for the synopsis?
Well,
Well, we shouldn't be. We're excited.
Yeah,
about
we're
it.
excited.
It looks
Let's-
thematic. It looks to me kind of like The Shining in a way, and it's like this family stuck out beyond the reach of help in a cold, hellish environment.
No, that was a good
That
description.
was a good description right there.
Cooper, you're fired.
You forgot about the witch?
Yeah, I don't even know if the witch is real.
I was gonna say, yeah, you don't
have
really
no
see
idea
anything
if the witch is real or
in
if
the
this is
preview.
It's like a
the
conjured up
family.
idea.
Yeah, tearing themselves apart through their own superstition.
It's an M. Night Shyamalan film, by the way.
Is it?
So
No,
it's not really.
Oh wow, maybe he's making a comeback.
No,
It's
it's not.
modern
It's
times.
not. It's not.
Twist.
I just want to reiterate,
my
it is
Uncle
not an
Gary.
M. Night Shyamalan film.
All
His
right.
last one was supposed to be all right.
What is that one?
His last one was
Hold on.
The Visit.
The Visit?
It was
Jeez.
supposed to be a comedy.
It was a comedy.
Stop putting "the" before all your titles.
The Sixth
Shyamalan.
Sense. The Village.
Yeah.
The Last Airbender.
The Lack.
The Happening.
The
Lack.
Well, just last closing statements.
last closing statement.
The last. Hold on. I'll edit that out.
That was your closing statement.
All right. Give me 3 seconds of edit time. So with
So Cooper just burped really loud, and he wants to edit it out.
yeah.
We're not gonna.
Thank you guys so much. So any other movies that we're wanting to really recommend to anyone who might be listening?
We're kind of entering a dead zone.
Yeah, we are.
Of movies coming out.
It's like the Gulf
I heard
Coast.
about one. I was told about one. I still haven't seen Blue Ruin, but apparently the guy who made that has a movie called Green Machine coming out.
What? I love Blue Ruin.
It's about like a group of Nazis led by Patrick Stewart
Okay.
fighting a group of punks.
What?
I'm probably butchering that right now, but it has
Patrick
Patrick
Stewart.
Stewart as a Nazi, a neo-Nazi.
Picard.
Yes, Captain Picard.
Okay. Well,
So that could be really cool.
I think that's a very interesting thing to end on. Anybody have any closing remarks? Or
It's Green Room.
Green Room.
not
Okay.
Green Machine.
Oh, I think I've seen a preview for that actually.
Let's see.
A
Yep.
young punk rock band find themselves trapped in a secluded venue after stumbling upon a
Yeah, they're
horrific
in the
act of
green room.
violence. Yep.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's not like so it's like modern day Nazi or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
neo-Nazi.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like World War II Nazis. Well, that's
You're thoroughly disappointed.
Yeah,
now,
I'm
aren't you?
thoroughly disappointed. But I'd say
Thanks, Kyle.
this looks pretty awesome. I'd say go see the
I'm
Green
even
Room.
more excited.
I know. Okay.
Well, any closing remarks as we draw this episode 5, to an end?
I don't really got anything. I mean, go see Anomalisa.
Go see
I thoroughly
Anomalisa.
enjoyed it. We talked about it quite a bit.
Don't
but,
see Star Wars.
Go see 13 Hours if you're an American. You got to do your patriotic duty.
Oh, yeah.
And while you're at it, go rent American Sniper again.
double feature.
I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's any good.
Oh, it looks like terrible.
Wait, who was directing that again?
Michael Bay.
Bay.
Yeah, it's not good.
Well, I think it's safe to say that episode 5 is now come to a close. Thank you, anyone and everyone who has kept up with us for this long. I will guarantee that we will be coming out with more episodes because I think we're loving this more and more the longer and longer we go. Just remember that when you're not listening to us, watch movies, observe movies, realize that there's always something a little bit between the lines and that it's worth talking about amongst your friends. It's worth looking a little harder to find that gem and actually finding some movies that make you think and make you have a good time with friends. So thank you again, guys. Have a good one. I've been Cooper Carr.
Neil Anderson.
Kyle Montgomery.
Bye, guys.